Hello everyone, it's Harry here, doing another Legends of Awesomeness commentary. Today it's going to be Kung Fu Daycare. I know I said I was going to do Shoot the Messenger, but can't really be fucked, to be honest. Now I tried to do this one after doing the Bride of Poe one, but I had some technical difficulties, so I didn't do it. So now I'm just redoing it. I only got about 10 minutes in, so hopefully tediousness won't set in straight away. Now, I can't remember if I said this in Bride of Poe, but I think this is one of my favourite episodes. And when I say favourite, I don't mean actually good. I mean like in a Stockholm Syndrome kind of way, where it's like, I've watched it so much, I've become numb to how bad it actually is, and I kind of appreciate the little parts of it that are actually good. And, yeah. I also apologise for my voice, I've got a bit of a cold, so I don't know if this show's so bad this actually made me ill or something, but, you know. So you'll hear me like kind of sniffing. I'll try not to do it, and if I do, I'll try and edit it out, but I apologise straight away for that. Now, this episode is good. It has probably the best thing about this episode, that it develops the character of Tigress a bit, and realistically makes me think realistically that this show actually takes place after the first film and before the second, because it actually develops the character into what I think, like from the first film, it develops her from that film to this into the second one, and it makes me think that's actually how it would have happened, even though I know this show is quite infamous for just not giving a shit. Actually, before I started watching this, I did look up, just out of interest, on IMDb what are the best rated episodes, and it's quite surprising reading it, because some of them are like, it's just insane, the differing opinions of this. For example, the worst rated episode on the list is Shoot the Messenger, which is one of my favourite episodes. It's just, I can't believe that. It just absolutely blows my mind that people think that's awful. But like, there's episodes, the Way of the Prawn is quite high up on this list, and it's just there is no justice in the world, peeps. There's just no justice. I think the highest rated episode was the first 5, which, as of this recording, hasn't actually aired, so I haven't seen it. So if it's as good as people are making it out to be, why am I not watching that one? Why, DreamWorks? Why? Okay, basically, I talked about when I first recorded this, I went into a big speech about character development, and that I'll try and I thought that was pretty good from what I can remember, but it's now been deleted. I'll try and kind of recreate that as much as I can, but basically what I wanted from this series was to show how it can develop the characters and show me how they got to the point where they are in, like, 2. Like, for example, just small thing, it didn't have to be massively intelligent and deep. I'm not saying the films are that. It didn't have to be that. I can appreciate when it can just be goofy, silly fun, and sometimes I prefer that to quote unquote intelligent storytelling, which I'm never going to accuse Kung Fu Panda of being. But like, I just wanted it to at least not feel like a duct tape kind of show where it feels like no effort is being put in whatsoever. And I'm sorry, but that's what this is to me, this show. It's just there's no effort put in it whatsoever. But there are some little bright spots here and there, and I honestly think this episode is one of them, because it makes me think really why Tigress would be so kind of angry and like not so willing to trust Poe, and just that kind of attitude she has. I'm kind of like, okay, I kind of get that. That's kind of cool, and it's kind of nice to see that it's kind of advancing the character a little bit. Again, I'm not going to accuse this of being the most amazing thing ever, but like I said, when the show does something right, you kind of have to go, good on you lads, keep doing that. God, you can tell I've got a cold because I'm just rambling at the minute, not having any coherent thought. Actually, just on a side note, I'm watching this in HD on YouTube, and one of the only copies that isn't like had pitched down or anything. And I got to say, I forgot how clean the animation actually is. I would recommend, if you ever watch the show, try and find it in a HD copy, because it is nice animation to look at. Not to the technical detail of the films. That's just completely unrealistic for me to expect that. But it's nice, clean, and simple, and I think it feels like it definitely feels like a spin-off series of the show, even if I like, if it didn't have the same characters, I could still say it was kind of trying to emulate that style of the film. I'm not really a fan of awkward humour, but I've got to say some of the jokes in this episode do really make me cringe, and this is kind of one of them. This whole not understanding, how to play with a child, and it's just kind of, it's horrible. I like the In-Betweeners. I don't know if anyone has seen that. That's kind of a British comedy that is purely about awkward humour, and I love that. But the thing is, when you do awkward humour right, it's funny and it makes you kind of feel sorry for the characters. When you do awkward humour wrong, and then it is just horrible and awkward to look at. Of course, when you do it right, that's the whole kind of joke, is that when you do it right, it's horrible to look at, and you can't. It's like looking at a natural disaster. You can't really take your eyes away from it. Oh, there's another thing I don't like about Legends of Awesomeness is this, where it's actually, I don't like these types of jokes in media anyway, where it's just like the joke is happening off screen and their reaction is supposed to be the joke, but the fact they've pretty much reused a joke from the film, and it's just, I can tell the only reason they haven't shown you what's happened to Poe in that is because they're so lazy. They're so lazy that they're just kind of relying on the reactions of two other characters to sell the joke, and I'm like, no, I'm sorry, that's dumb. You're dumb. Stop it, DreamWorks. Okay, that's okay. I'll give you that, Tigress. That was the legitimately funny line. Actually, I'll pose a question here to anyone who's. I wouldn't be surprised if you stopped listening by this point. I probably would have. But do you think it's okay to overanalyze something like this? Like, this isn't Synecdoche, New York, which is probably my favourite film. This is, a film, a TV show about a panda that learns kung fu and fights evil and stuff. Would you say it's unreasonable of me to expect, not effort put in, but would you say it's unreasonable for me to want them to try and connect the dots, and like, kind of just, I don't know, give a bit of flow, show that it's okay, without telling me, would I know that this is before the second film? Like, seriously, it's not like. Okay, the best example of something like that I can think of is with Breaking Bad. When you watch season 5, just from the way the story's going, it's set in a particular kind of time period in these characters' lives. With this, it doesn't feel like the same characters. It just feels like something made to cash in on what those films did. And like I said last time, DreamWorks is kind of struggling financially, and they kind of need Kung Fu Panda 3 to kind of get that money for them, and I'm just kind of worried that they're just kind of gonna dumb down the brand with this, and people might have forgotten about the franchise until the third one comes out. So that's what honestly, the thing they need to do is release the episodes they haven't, like the first 5 and stuff like that, because like I think I mentioned in Bride of Poe, so it has been like a week since I did that. I don't know if this series is dead or not, but some of the episodes just haven't been released in places where you'd expect, like the USA and the UK. I'd want them to kind of release some strong episodes coming up to the film. I think that's what they might be why they're holding them back, to kind of release it then. but they need to do some shorts or some promotional material to kind of build up that hype for the third film again. Maybe not re-release the films, or start showing them again on TV or something. Because the worst thing that could happen is for them to just release the film and everybody would have forgotten it. So it kind of just... I'm not going to say it's not going to make any money, because that's just completely stupid of me to say. It's an animated film with Jack Black in it and Angelina Jolie. It is going to make some money. But the amount of money it makes, and if it can continue the franchise, is just... I think they just have to kind of put so much effort into doing it, and I don't know if DreamWorks are going to do that, honestly. They've never seen like a company to me that care about the quality of their films. Like, the really good DreamWorks films, the really good animated ones, they start off good. I don't like the first Shrek film, but I admit that for the time it came out, it was pretty great. The second one was amazing. I'm not really a fan of the other animated DreamWorks films. Stuff like The Croods can honestly go fuck themselves. It's not funny, it's just annoying. But stuff like How to Train Your Dragon, those two films are pretty decent, actually. I watched those based on a suggestion from a commenter. You know who you are. And they're great films and very enjoyable. But I don't know if that third film is going to kind of run it into the ground a bit. Actually, I haven't talked about the Croc gang since starting this, so I'll just kind of go into them a bit. For me, they're some of the most legitimately funny characters in this entire show. I don't know what it is about... maybe it's because of my love of Napoleon Dynamite, but I always have that kind of lame characters who, like, kind of think they're cool, but they're just completely lame. And, like, I don't know if it's just the way they say things, but I just find that hilarious. And this scene here where they have to be quiet while kicking the shit out of each other, you know, that's a pretty funny setup for an action scene. This isn't the best execution of it, but, you know, it works. And John DiMaggio's work as Fung is, like, not like Futurama level or anything like that, but it is. I find it quite funny. I actually think, in terms of, actually speaking of voice work, I actually think this is Kari Walgren's, I don't know if that's how you say her name, I actually think this is her best work as Tigress. Just, she just gets across a nice range of emotion here, from like being very grumpy to saying stuff that can be, while lame, is quite heartwarming when, with the voice, you know, like the delivery and everything. Just going back to my earlier point about overthinking something, like, for example, I take the... okay, in the context of the films, I take the whole... Okay, in the first film, it's said, like, oh, Tai Lung and Shifu fell out and they don't like each other or whatever. That bit at the end where Tai Lung hesitates when Shifu's talking to him, I take moments like that quite seriously, because they're... For example, in that moment, it's a chance of redemption for Tai Lung, and he ultimately rejects it because all he cares about is power. I take little character moments like that quite seriously, just for any film, not just for animated films. And do you comment? Do you people watching think that's weird? That I think I have quite a critical kind of mind with that. Like, I'm always kind of thinking about what that could mean and all of that. So that's why it kind of annoys me a bit when two films I love that have both a normal narrative and like a subtext to it. It just kind of annoys me when you get something like this, which has clearly no thought has been put into what it could mean for these characters, what it could mean for, like, what kind of stories they could tell in the environment it's set. I mean, whether you like it or not, the thing about the cannons in Kung Fu Panda 2 is such a great story told within the within the universe of the films. I think I said that in the commentary I did with George, actually. Oh, just a heads up, I'm going to be redoing that commentary with my brother, because the original one that I did with George has the audio of the film in it, and it's overall pretty terrible and just bad sound mix and all of that. It's kind of both of our fault, because when we first did that commentary, we didn't really think about that, and was only later that we started to watch the things with headphones and just kind of do it like that. Means we can make some mad cash on it. Why would a little kid kicking Tigress in the face, why would that hurt her? She's supposed to be invulnerable, not invulnerable to pain, she's supposed to be a machine. Actually, I think I mentioned this in one of the earliest Legends of Awesomeness commentaries. I did. I like the idea that this could be an alternate universe. Like, what if Poe started training with the Furious Five when they were much younger? If that had been the plot, if it had been like an alternate universe thing, then I could totally get behind that. It explains why the attitudes of the characters are just totally different. I just think that would have been so much more interesting. So, like, if I was going to do some more episodes of this, just out of interest, I don't really have any. I don't really have any specific preference for episodes. Just if it has something I can talk about, or if I have a particular thing I can talk about when I'm watching it, then, like, do you have any requests for episodes? Like, if I have seen them all, but I haven't watched them. Like, I often watch episodes just once and never touch them ever again. Apart from Where the Prawn, I've watched that a good 4 times and it's burned into my soul. But like, if you have any particular requests, just say, and I'll go through the episode once, try and take some notes, and I'll do it at the commentary. I know, like, one particular commentator said that they like stuff like, was it Master Ping or something like that, like Godfather piss take. Maybe not, but like that would be a example of what I'm talking about, making suggestions like that. Also, just while talking about kind of outside stuff, the Kung Fu Panda wiki, there's a particular section on that site that I think you should all check out if you love the soundtrack. Hang on, let me get the link up actually quick while on the wiki, if you go onto the Complete Scores 2.0, the soundtrack is kind of being remastered and kind of expanded upon by a user named Zaralith. Sorry if I got your name wrong there, if you are watching, on the very, very small chance you are watching. But basically, he did it before, like a year or two ago, where he kind of like redid the soundtrack and put it in a higher kind of quality and kind of made the tracks longer and everything. It's the version of the album that me and George did the soundtrack review of. That's the version, that's the album that we did the review of. He's kind of taking those down now, which is kind of a shame because I've kind of lost it since, and now I'd like to see those. I'd like to have those so I can download them and listen to them again. But he's redoing them and making them longer using like kind of it's kind of like a it's probably the wrong comparison, but the Beatles did a Let It Be Naked thing where it was just kind of let it be, but it was how the thing was originally supposed to be, instead of like with all the. Okay, maybe that is completely the wrong comparison because the Let It Be Naked thing was about removing the overdubs. Okay, I don't know. It's kind of like a weird thing to kind of describe, but it's like if you love the soundtrack, then go check that out because that will be up soon. I think he said it will be up by New Year's. It's not. It's now only 2 months since New Year's, and it's not. Hurry up, man! I literally can't take the wait. Don't ask me why, but this huge crocodile, whose name escapes me because my interest is quickly dwindling. Hang on, let me find what his name is. Ledong, who is voiced by Jim Combs, as you can probably tell because he's just using his Pete voice. yeah, Jim Cummings also voices Winnie the Pooh, and Pete from like the Goofy, like Goof Troop and the Goofy movie stuff. I don't know why, but his voice reminds me of Popeye. Don't ask me why. It sounds nothing like Popeye. And thus, fanfiction was born, which depicts Tigress with a child writing the exact same lines for this entire situation. Okay, I kind of shit on this episode a little bit, so we're kind of at the end now, so I'm just going to kind of wrap up my thoughts. I honestly do like this episode. It has a nice kind of emotional tug to it. Can you hear the emotion in my voice? It's just getting to me, clearly. But I actually like the story. It's a nice piece of development for Tigress, and a bit of laziness here. The goat in the orange that was on the left. That's on the left there now. That's just they reused that model for the Bride of Poe, that character in there, and that's really bad. Oh God, what have I done with my life? You know, I'm never watching Kung Fu Panda again. Seriously, fuck this franchise. Okay, some positives. I like the animation. It's nice, especially in this episode. It's like nice and fluid. The fight scenes are pretty enjoyable. I like the character development for Tigress in it. Even though very much like The Simpsons, it's completely ignored in the next episode, where she goes back to being a grumpy idiot, as opposed to all the other idiots on the program. And you know, I like the story. I like the fact there's some nice flashback scenes to her character. It kind of helps helps to know more about her, know why she's like the way she is. But overall, yeah, it's an okay episode. It not the best one to watch, because there are some annoying parts of it, like that black and white idiot right there. He's pretty annoying in this episode, honestly. So that's pretty much the end of the episode. So I'll see you next time with... I'll probably do Shoot the Messenger, actually. I probably should. I did promise that. So I'll see you next time. Well, hopefully I sound less like I've been punched in the throat. See you later.